So a question I think every successful entrepreneur gets a lot is, what's the biggest business mistake you've made? And every time I get asked that question, I get triggered because it reminds me of the time where I lost over $500,000 in a single day. And so I'm gonna walk you step by step through the mental as well as the tactical mistakes I made. But even more than that, if you're thinking about launching a course online or if you're selling a product right now, make sure to watch this video so you don't make the same mistake. What up, Wade here. So before I get into this $500,000 mistake that happened in a single day, I need to give you a little preface or a little backstory that led up to it. And so I was launching my very first course online, and this was in 2012. And so 2011 was where I was building this. This thing took probably a year for me to plan because it was the first one ever. It really hadn't been done in the dating niche before. And so I was kind of just, grasping at straws and figuring out how to do something like this. Before then, about 5 years, I'd been teaching dating advice for men. So I'd be running these seminars 40 weekends a year, over 40 countries. And so I distilled it all down. I remember going through all my notes and thinking about what were the best little golden nuggets, every single little piece. And then when it came to the marketing piece, I had never launched a course before, but I was lucky to have a former client that I really transformed his dating life. And he said, man, I'm gonna help you launch this thing. I'm gonna write all the sales copy. I'm gonna help you, put out the emails. And he did it, really kind of handed me the entire thing on a silver platter, which led to it being a massive success where I sold over 1,000 units of this course. But this is where the big mistake happened. In the fact that I just, I was looking at other courses out there and I was thinking, okay, what should I sell this thing for? Having no sort of self-confidence or anything like that in a product because I'd never done anything like this before. I just went with $69. And I saw some other product that was kind of similar. And so I'm just like, that's what they're charging. I had no idea why they charged that much. I had no idea about their business model. And again, I had no idea what marketing really was or what pricing sort of philosophy that goes into it that we're gonna get into in today's video here. And as successful as that product was, immediately afterwards, it's kind of like when you go into negotiation, you're like, hey, you're trying to negotiate a pay increase and you say, how about a $5,000 increase? And they're like, okay. It was just like too easy. And you're thinking, okay, I probably could have asked for twice that. And I didn't come to this conclusion at the time because I didn't really, again, have that strong marketing experience. But after a while, it sort of settled in of thinking, I should have charged at least twice as much for this thing. The value that's in here. I could see people weren't even really valuing it as much as they should have because this was literally $2,000. People paid $2,000 for the same content. And again, refining it over the course of 5 years. And I'm thinking, something's a little bit off here. And so after the success of that product, I had a friend in the industry who was modeling that to launch his own course. And I said, man, I would charge at least $297, if not $497, if you're doing something similar. And so what do you think happened with that launch? Had about the same size audience, same size following, sold about 1,000 units, but did it at $297 instead of $69. And let me tell you, that was one of the biggest punches in the gut early in my business career of realizing how important pricing is. And I can't tell you how often, especially YouTubers, are completely undercharging for what they're putting out there. They're using sort of like a Patreon model and they say, okay, $5 a month or $10 a month. And so because you have enough traffic, you can almost get away with it where if you have like 1 million subscribers, you might have a $7 a month or $17 a month club. And you're just thinking, I'm just gonna play the numbers game enough here to where if it's low enough, I get enough people in, it's passive income, it's recurring, and hey, things are just glorious, things are great. And let me tell you, there's so much money being left on the table. You're losing tens and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, just because you don't understand some basic pricing philosophies, which we're gonna get into right now. So I think the biggest mistake that experts, any sort of content creator puts out there, if you're a coach or if you're a consultant, is you're focused on me. You might be thinking about how can I help them, but it's filtered through your own biasness of what you think you're worth, but also just, you're kind of thinking about what should I charge for something? What do I feel comfortable charging something? That's where I was coming from. $69, I had this sort of 69, I guess. I don't know if that kind of factored in subconsciously. I was young, I was in my 20s at the time. But it was more, I was just kind of modeling something else. It seemed the price point was right. I had a couple people suggesting that I charge more than that. I'm like, I want to make sure everyone buys this and I don't want to charge too high. And what if no one buys it? And I think that's the fear. You're like, what if no one buys it? Instead, getting out of your own fears, getting out of your own way, you wanna look again at the other person, that single person, and go, what is the precision pain that they have? What is the problem that I can solve? And here's the kicker, what is it worth to them? to solve that problem? How valuable is this course or is this coaching program to them? And really, again, it's not even about the course, it's about the outcome. And so if you're creating a new course, or if it's not selling as effectively as you would like, you want to think about what is the ultimate outcome that they're paying me for? This is also why recurring stuff doesn't really work that well, or like a monthly membership, is because no one wants us to go, hey, I'm gonna sign up for this thing that I'll probably forget about in a month or two and stop using, and yet have my credit card keep me in charge. As the content creator, you're like, hey, this is awesome. I get that, sort of passive income stream. It's coming recurring every single month. That's great. But the thing that's truly gonna get them to pull their credit card out of their wallet, punch that into some weird website of some stranger that they've never met in person, is when you give them a specific sort of solution to an outcome that they might have. So what I mean by outcome, for me as a dating coach, it was transforming your dating life so you never have to worry about a woman again or worry about finding a woman again. What is that worth to you? It's probably a little bit more than $69. And that probably leads to all of a sudden being sort of too cheap and leading to them going, this can't completely transform my life. Even though the things that were packaged up and distilled in there is probably over $1 million of seminars that I ran, and distilling that information down, because it was so low valued, they actually disqualified it. And we actually ran this test with a client, and so they had a lot of SEO traffic. So it's coming through Google search results to their blog, to their website. They've had the same website for like over 10 years. And so they were getting a bunch of traffic and they weren't able to get it to convert. And they, at the time, had a $17 little price point thing. And I didn't want them to make the same mistake. So I'm like, okay, let's triple the price of this thing. And let's even do a little bit of split test. So I rewrote the whole sales page and cranked it up. And I'm like, man, you can't sell this thing for 17 bucks. It just looks incredulously cheap. And so we split test $47 versus $67. And so just guess, what do you think happened when you did the $47 versus the $67? Which one did better? The $67 offer converted 50% higher. So that doesn't mean 50% more money coming in or more total revenue, 50% higher conversions. So if you double that also, because 47 versus 67, that's like a 3x return just by changing the price, going up at a higher price point. And I can't tell you how often, again and again, price goes up when you increase prices. The way you want to look at things is, do you want to be the Louis Vuitton or do you want to be the Walmart brand sweatpants? One is worth $600, the other one is like $6. And so there's probably not a lot of difference between the two. It's all about positioning, it's all about branding. But the unique thing that this does is when you charge the higher price point, it attracts a higher quality client. On top of that, as I've talked about in other videos, they're more invested, and so they're more likely to achieve the outcome that you're trying to promote with this course. And you're putting in all this energy, you're putting in all this effort, you might as well do everything you can to help them get the result that they want. And so why did I make this mistake? Why do so many content creators, course creators make this mistake? I think a lot of times what it comes down to is an inner game issue. It's a confidence issue of not believing that they're worth and not believing that their content is worth charging this sort of high price point. Or they're also worried a little bit about that egg on the face of putting all this effort into a product launch. I mean, a product launch is a lot of things. You got videos coming out, you got a bunch of emails, you got a sales page to put together and all the copy for that. You got to put the course together. These things take a lot of time to put together, no matter how many launches you've done. Myself, probably done 25, close to 30 product launches with myself and with clients at this point. You never know, no matter how big the brand is. You got multiple millions of subscribers. You're always just like kind of going, okay, it's a crapshoot here. Let's see what happens with it. And then, hey, this could be worth, 25 grand or 250 grand or 2.5 million. You just never know sometimes. And so that sort of fear of the time investment, the energy, a lot of times leads to just going, let's just price it low enough that we make sure we get some solid sales. So here's a couple criteria that I like looking at when it comes to your product, or if you have a coaching package, or as well as just like a monthly consulting thing, any sort of offer. The first one is, what is the conversion method? And so, if it's a $67 offer, you can probably put, like a 3 to 5 page sales letter. That's probably enough. If it's $670, you're getting about the top end where you probably need a proper sort of product launch infrastructure in place, where you have a couple videos, blasting objections, you're putting out a couple emails, there's maybe a lead magnet funneling them in and things like that. And then when you get to the sales page, it's a pretty epic sales letter, 25, 35 page thing. It's designed super epically done. And there's probably a really nice produced video at the top as well. When you get into the more $6,000 range, then you're probably gonna have to get on the phone with them, because it's highly unlikely that they're gonna pull out their credit card and charge $6K to a complete stranger that they've never met before. When you get on the phone or you get on a video chat, then you're able to kind of talk back and forth. They might have a couple questions, And so you can kind of work through that process, really dive into the specific issues that they have. So it feels like it's custom tailored, and it probably is at the 6K price point. And so that doesn't mean one is easier or harder versus the other, taking a setup. A lot of times the easiest one is actually more the $6,000 offer, because it's just like getting people on the phone and talking to them. That's a lot easier than creating a 35-page sales letter that's super well designed and you have a full product launch in that place. And this really leads to the final piece. And what I'm really trying to do with this channel is the fact that when I launched that first course and I modeled another business that was only charging $69 for their course, I had no idea of the idea of like what an ascension ladder was, or the fact that they were selling a monthly membership on the back end, that they had a whole sales team and they had this huge infrastructure of a $10 million business. And I'm just thinking, how do I really make money off this initial course? There's no need to reinvent the wheel here. People have made mistakes before you, like myself, so that you don't have to make them yourself. And so when you go to model someone else, it's important to look at other people in your industry, look cross industries and things like that, but make sure you actually buy the course and you properly are modeling the entire business model, not looking myopically and just going, oh, that's why they price things that way, because there's probably a lot more thought that goes into it if they're a legitimate, successful business. There's the old joke where they say you can always spot the pioneer because they've got the arrows in their back. They were the ones who made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. I can tell you, ooh, burning that finger of making that mistake of pricing myself wrong. What happened right after that is I go, okay, I'm gonna add a 0 to the end of this thing, and I launched my Lifestyle Academy program and learning the other lesson of having something more expensive on the back end, and so I upsold one-on-one coaching. That was the thing that truly transformed my business. Doing epic product launch after product launch, over 7 figures in sales within a year of launching this thing 4 times, this Lifestyle Academy program, giving me the confidence to really start working with business owners specifically, getting addicted to the whole product launch format, writing sales copy, and really leading to where I'm at today. And so would it really change anything in the end? I guess it was great to learn that lesson, but I don't want you to make the same mistake. And so focus again on the outcome. What is the value that you're creating? Get out of your own way. How can you build confidence in the short term? And think about who you ultimately want to work with. And you'll be amazed at how significantly this can impact your bottom line and the income that you bring in, because you're able to do small little tweaks and it changes everything. And so if you want to learn more of these topics, I'll put some videos here that are great when it comes to increasing your conversions, being able to substantiate that higher price points, as well as how to launch more effectively. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to smash that button right here. Subscribe, we're putting out new videos every single Monday. As always, enjoy.